They targeted teenagers on the streets of Rochdale. All 5 were white and from troubled backgrounds.
Rochdale preceded Jimmy Savile, Max Clifford, Rolf Harris, all of that. Everything that we now know of.
The UK people were left in shock and awe this week after rumours circulated via mainstream media that the inquiry into the Rochdale grooming gangs would be scrapped. But as the government flip-flopped more than a UK tourist on a cheap budget holiday in Benidorm, we bring you the real truth that the inquiries will still be going ahead. Welcome to you all, and thank you for joining me back at the channel. We've just gone viral for another video. If you're new here, we like to look at news, crime, give analysis, and also bring you information that sometimes the mainstream media won't always tell you. So with that being said, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and let's get straight into the video. As the UK mainstream media, such as the likes of GB News, Sky News and ITV News, jumped on the bandwagon on Tuesday after Rachel Reeves failed to address the inquiry into the Rochdale grooming gangs, rumours then circulated via the internet like wildfire that the inquiry into the grooming gangs would be scrapped. But Yvette Cooper has hit back and set the record straight. But before we address Yvette Cooper's statement and assess what she has to say, we have to go right back to the very beginning of where this all started.
She was handed over to his supposed nephew simply as a birthday present.
Scores of children were being groomed by predominantly British Pakistani men. For almost a decade, rumours swirled about children being raped and brutally assaulted in a small town in northwest England.
Every time we went up, it always led to something sexual, anything from kissing right through to, sleeping with the person.
And so the girls, either too scared to refuse or given so much to drink they didn't know what they were doing, were driven across the north to have sex with queues of men.
Home Secretary Yvette Cooper insisted on Friday that local inquiries into grooming gangs in 5 towns are still going to go ahead despite claims the plans have been watered down and scrapped. In January, Yvette Cooper announced that a 3-month rapid review into the issue, as well as 5 local inquiries, but has only named the location for one, which is Oldham. Sir Trevor Phillips, who is a former chairman of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, has claimed that the government is not naming locations for obvious political reasons because of the demographics of the people involved. But Yvette Cooper denied this on BBC Breakfast, but added that the best way to get justice for the victims was through more police investigations rather than inquiries. She went on to add, actually, the best way of dealing with this is through a police investigation. It's not an inquiry, it's a police investigation, so the most important thing we do is increasing police investigations, she said. Now, there's not many things I would agree with the government when it comes to legislations and policies these days, but the advice from Yvette Cooper that a criminal investigation needs to happen is probably the only thing that I could agree on. After all, when it seems that ever the government mess up, or there are victims, they always seem to hold an inquiry. An inquiry where nobody's held accountable for the evidence that they give, nobody swears on oath, and nobody goes to prison. But is this just a smokescreen by Yvette Cooper to keep the UK people happy and quiet and subdued so that they don't ask any further questions with regards to when an inquiry will happen? After all, it seems that we have been down this road already, and the last time that Parliament decided to vote on whether an inquiry should happen, 3/4 of the MPs in Parliament didn't want it to happen. Now the question you have to ask yourself is, if they were investigating grooming gangs, such as Muslim grooming gangs, then what knock-on effect would it have on the MPs?
The ayes to the right were 111, the noes to the left 364, so the noes have it, the noes have it. Unlock.
The Conservatives have desperately been trying to push for a national inquiry into the grooming scandal, and they have failed in that bid. The government won a vote by 364 votes to 111 in an overwhelmingly common show of strength. The vote happened after Prime Minister questions earlier, where Kemi Badenoch used all 6 questions to put pressure on the Prime Minister to hold a probe. Now, there have been several local level probes, and there was the J inquiry that concluded in 2022 with its inquiries. But Kemi Badenoch wanted all those inquiries brought together under one national inquiry to join the dots between them. But so far, despite putting much pressure on the Prime Minister in recent days, she has...
The new year has started with a focus on the decades-long rape gang scandal. Across the country, thousands of girls were tortured and sexually abused at the hands of men who treated them as things to be used and disposed of, destroying many lives forever. The Prime Minister has mentioned previous inquiries. He is right. There has been an inquiry into child sex abuse, but it wasn't about the rape gang scandal. In its 468 pages, it mentioned Rotherham just once. Is the Prime Minister confident that we know the full extent of gang activity?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, on the question of a further inquiry, there have been a number of inquiries, some of them localised, including the Mayor of Manchester's inquiry recently, and of course a national inquiry Professor Jay carried out, took 7 years, had 20 recommendations, none of which actually were implemented by the party opposite when they were in government. Now, this is a really serious issue, and we must focus obviously on the victims and survivors. There's no fixed view on the victims and survivors about a further national inquiry. There are mixed views. But there is a view, and I share this view, that what is needed now is action on what we already know. We already know, myself from personal knowledge when I was Chief Prosecutor, that warped ideas, myths and stereotypes about victims were at the heart of this. We've known that for a decade. The Jay report called for mandatory reporting. I called for it 11 years ago. What we need now is action. What can't be tolerated is the idea that this afternoon members opposite will vote down a bill which protects children, include Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let me just, one of the provisions in the bill is to protect children vulnerable today who are out of school to prevent abusers ever taking those children out of school. I implore members opposite to defy the misleading leadership of the Leader of the Opposition and vote for a really important bill.
So the real question is, for what reason would the UK government MPs and Keir Starmer vote against an inquiry into the Muslim grooming gangs? Well, there could be two reasons for this, but it's not to do with Muslim grooming gangs. So for this, we firstly need to look at Keir Starmer, his background and beliefs, and also the people he associates with, and if they share them beliefs. The only problem is in distinguishing these people from other white UK citizens. Now, I'm expecting some kind of backlash from this video, and obviously the usual comments in the comment section, labelling me labels as such, but at the end of the day, this isn't my belief system or my book, it's yours. It always seems to amaze me when members of Parliament step forward and announce that they are married to someone of a Jewish background, yet fail to announce that they are Jewish themselves. As stated in their own pages of the book, as long as your child is not of the same religion and belief, they are fair game to them. Maybe this is why there are so many members of Parliament who have been convicted for offences against children. And just like the Rochdale Grooming gangs, them inquiries also collapsed or never happened. So for what real reason do the police not want to investigate these crimes, and in fact sweep them under the carpet as though they never existed? The mainstream media have told us that the reason that the police were scared to investigate these claims is because they were scared of being accused of racism. Well, maybe this is because the next pages that are about to be shown to you are only 4 pages out of 43 of lists of police officers ranking as high as superintendents who've committed crimes against children and other perverted acts. But don't be fooled that all these crimes are done by men. PC Claire Ogden of Cleveland Police resigned after misconduct for masturbation on duty. Or even Detective Constable Nick Taylor from West Midlands Police, who was sacked after acting as a prostitute. These are just 2 offences that I can mention on YouTube that are at the lighter end of the scale, but the other ones are more serious, involving children, and ones of RAPE. Feel free to pause the video and read the offences for yourself. These are just 4 pages out of 43. So is the real reason for the government and Parliament for voting against an inquiry into the Muslim grooming gangs is because the real fact is that that inquiry will lead straight back to the members of Parliament. Until such time as people such as Charlie Peters from GB News, who claim to have exposed the grooming gangs, tackle the issues that I mentioned in this video, and the people and MPs included, as well as the police officers, he hasn't exposed anything at all. If anything, he's just misdirected the public into a totally different direction, away from the real fact and issue that's the underlying belly. But what do you expect with the rest of the GB News presenters being self-proclaimed of the same religious belief system as Keir Starmer? It wouldn't surprise me if Charlie was the same. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you did. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you in the next video.
Across the country, thousands of girls were tortured and sexually abused at the hands of men who treated them as things to be used and disposed of.